Hi, guys. Welcome to Simple AI for Families. I recently faced a state tax audit and it was overwhelming at first. But then what I did is I used ChatGPT as my AI assistant and he guided me through the process. And yeah, I did call him a he. So I'm going to actually walk you through exactly what happened and what the results were. And I'm going to walk you through how AI helped me reduce the stress of an audit and how the amount came down and how it helped me communicate effectively. So first of all, I am not a tax expert. Take this for what it is. I do my own taxes because I have a great bookkeeping system. My bookkeepers are amazing and TurboTax is easy to use. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? So I am not a tax professional. So I'm just going to walk you through my experience and how this went. And I will tell you what I used and the things that I did. And then once we have that done, I just want you to know that this is doable and it's not as stressful as you think. Okay. So first I got an audit from my state where I live. And it wasn't even an audit. It said something to the effect of the federal government the IRS has audited you. And we have, based off of that audit, we have determined that you owe us another $1,800. Okay. So first off, that was a little alarming because I have already done this is for 2021. I'd already done my taxes. I had already gone through where I did get something from the IRS where they were like, and this was last year, they were like, or no, it was earlier this year. It was like in January. They were like, oh, you missed this 1099 on your reporting, which I didn't get, but okay. So whatever, you missed this 1099, it's going to increase your payment by this much. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Because yeah, it made sense, right? So it did adjust my taxes by, I think it was by $500. So I had to pay the IRS like another $547. So $547 to the IRS. Okay. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So, but that's all it was. It was like an increase of about $1,400 on that income for 2021. But I had forgotten about that. Fine. But there was nothing that said, and the IRS did not have me amend my return with them. So they did not want an amended return. Okay. So there was no necessary amended return there. And I didn't know this. I mean, I didn't even know that there would have been one, but there was no amended return. They just let me know this is what happened and go on from there. Great. So I had no notice or notification that I was supposed to do anything with the state because I didn't have to file a new return with the IRS because they said the amount was negligible. Obviously not negligible enough to charge me, but it was negligible enough so I didn't have to do an amendment. Like I didn't have to file the return. And I didn't argue it, right? Like it was, okay, I didn't know that I had this 1099. It makes sense. I just never received it. We were moving that year. So it's fine. It makes perfect sense. But anyway, so I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do? There was 4 or 5 pages from my state, 4 or 5 pages of just crap, a whole bunch of numbers. It was overwhelming. So I did what any standard person who now has access to AI tool would do. I took PDF pictures of all of the documents and I went to chat and I said, help, I don't know what any of this means. So chat came back with, this is what you're going to do and walked me through. First, this is what they're telling you. They said that you had an increase. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your state tax, the state tax site, whatever. So, and it gave me a link. So I was like, okay, so I went there and I had the information that it told me. I highlighted it on my paperwork. And then it told me so I was like, okay, so I'm going to chat. So I had to chat with the people because that's how our state does it. You go in there, you get on a chat. So I'm talking to the people. And this is what chat told me to ask them. So I was asking for information. They came back they said the IRS has reported a $20,000 increase for your income of 2021. And I said, what? They said, what? And they said, yes, they have reported it. They did an audit on you and they reported in their structure that it was $20,000 increase. And I was like, I don't have an extra I did not get an extra $20,000, but okay, thank you for that. So what do you need from me? So they said, we need you to amend your return and pay the difference. It looks like it's going to be the $1,800 that we've charged you and fees and late fees and whatever. I was like, okay, thank you. I will go and handle this. I was polite. There's no reason to be upset. It's people just doing their jobs. So then I went to chat and I said, this is what they said. I copied the chat from the state site that I was on, copied my chat with them, took it to ChatGPT and said, hey, this is what they said. ChatGPT said, okay, so what you're going to do next is they're saying that the IRS has done this. I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And they said, what you need to do is you need to go get your transcripts. You need to contact them and talk to someone And then find out if you need to file an amended return with the IRS, and you need to get transcripts and gather all of your documents. I was like, get transcripts? What does that mean? So I talked some more with chat. Blah, 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 blah. What do I do? What do I do? It gave me the phone number to contact the IRS. So I called the IRS. I got on the list. They called me back 20 minutes later. While I'm doing that, though, I went on the link that it told me to go to the IRS, and I was able to access my transcripts, which shows any changes that you make, any payments, any adjustments that are made, any information that they get throughout that year for that tax year. I have all of them now from like 2007. So I went and downloaded all of my transcripts, all of them. We're talking the W-2 employee styles, the everything. There was like 5 or 6 different kinds of transcripts, and I got all of them. So I was downloading for that full time. Then my phone rings, and I'm like, oh, hello, to the IRS gentleman. He was very sweet, very, very nice. We were talking, and he said, just give me 5 minutes. I need to go find this. So he was like, okay. I went back there. He came back like 5 minutes later, and he said, you were audited, not audited. You were not officially audited. We just got a 1099, just like I said, a 1099 that wasn't reported on your taxes. So we wanted to make sure that it was reported. You've already paid this. A amended return is not necessary. I said, oh, okay, that's great. That works perfect. That's fine. And then he said, okay, so do you have your transcripts? And I said, yes, I do. I got my transcripts. Thank you. I said, so what do I tell them? He said, well, it doesn't make sense that they would be charging you $1,800 for a $1,200 increase on your 1099. I was like, agreed. So he said, okay, so now that you have all this, I'm not with the state. I can't help you anymore, but I've done everything I can. Do you need any more help? He did not need to help me anymore. So I moved on from there. So I took that entire conversation, went to chat because I was recording it, went to chat. I wasn't recording it for like anything. I just wanted to make sure I had the information. So I took it to chat, and I was like, hey, this is what the IRS gentleman said. And he said, okay. So chat was like, perfect. So here's what we're going to do. You've got your transcripts, you've got all the things. And then I uploaded my transcripts that were pertinent for that year, for the 2021 transcripts. And chat said, okay, yes, you did have an increase according to the transcripts and your conversation with the IRS agent. You did have an increase of about $1,200. I said, yes. I said, perfect. That's exactly right. Chat said, okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is here's your script of what you're going to take to the chat people for your state. And here are the questions you're going to ask. So I went in, opened up a whole nother chat, not with ChatGPT, but a chat messaging board with the customer service for my state. Got a different person. And I said, I had this conversation with this gentleman about 40 minutes ago. Here is what he said. And I did a summary of what he said. I said, I've already spoken with the IRS. Here's this. The gentleman said I got an increase of $20,000. And then this woman who was the new chat person, I'm assuming it's a woman. The name was very womany. And she said, I'm showing an increase of that. You're going to have to fill out a state tax, amend your tax return for the state. And I was like, even though the IRS said not to. And that was one of the questions chat wanted me to ask. She said, yes, because there was a change, you do need to update your tax amendment. I was like, okay, I can do that. That's fine. So I went through all of the things chat told me to do, went through an entire, had a list of everything. I already got it figured out. I had the list. I said, I need this, this, and this? She said, yes, you're going to need to turn all that in. So this is what I get to turn in. Big, huge packet. But I would not have known any of those things if I had not taken it to chat. This would have been a very expensive practice, a very expensive ordeal. This would have taken me days, weeks, months. As it was, it took me 40 minutes. I went in, printed everything off. I just have to fill out my tax return. All I had to do was fill out a new state tax return with the changes in there. It calculated out. I don't owe them $1,800. I didn't even live in the state for more than 6 weeks, and they were trying to charge me for that. I owe them $22. My caveat here is, yes, I completely agree that you need to be careful with what you share with your AI. Absolutely. I believe that we should be careful with anything that we get. Like, AI is not 100% accurate. But do you know how much money that saved me? That saved me a significant chunk of money and time and stress and effort being able to take this somewhere and ask it. So this is where I want you to ask yourself, what am I having stress with right now? What am I having stress with that in just my day-to-day life that I could have somebody else help me? What is a specialist that you would need to go to right now? I'm not saying that AI can perform surgeries at all. but it might be able to help you figure out where your diagnosis is going wrong, or if you even need to go see a doctor, right? Like, there is caveats here, guys. I'm not saying that AI replaces doctors or anything at all. It can certainly help you mitigate and identify what your problems are. So for instance, if I was going to, and I'll do another video on this one just to kind of clear this up a little bit and kind of talk about the process we went through, but you can actually go out and take pictures of your yard and say, what is it looking like? What does it look like I need to do to fix my landscaping? What looks like liability? What looks, I need to do something because my husband's allergic to poison ivy. Can you identify any poison ivy in this picture? So you can use AI to help mitigate where you need specialists in your life and identify, do I need something here? No, I don't. Okay, I can do this myself. Is this something I need help with? Yes, yes, it is. No, it's not. It can at least help you identify what you need help with. This was a big deal. I knew that I was not a tax professional. I know Chad is not a tax professional at all, but it was able to walk me through the steps that I needed to do. Otherwise, I would have been so overwhelmed. I would have just written the check and sent it. And then my state would have pretty much committed fraud because they said that they got a $20,000 IRS audit and increase on me, and they didn't. They didn't get that at all. So this is where I'm just I really want to tell people, yes, be cautious, but don't just blindly listen to the documents and stuff that you get in the mail. Upload them, ask for help. If you're getting, like we're getting a new assessment, I'm going to put that into chat and have a discussion with how I can actually challenge that, because my property hasn't changed in all this time. So why am I getting assessed? I didn't even have an assessor come out here. So why am I having to pay more taxes? We need to be able to ask these questions. And if we don't understand the things that we need to ask questions about, it's okay to get help. And $20 a month, or even just the free ChatGPT versions, that's pretty cheap to get some help and to figure out where you should even be going. Okay, that's my rant and my reel, and that's my spiel about everything that I did to actually use chat to help me pay a lot less on an audit that I got, and the steps to do to make sure that I got that audit done in just a couple of hours versus months that it would have taken me. Like and subscribe, guys. Ask your questions below and let me know if you have any questions on other things that we can use your AI assistance for.